Hello, I'm Dr. Kim Eun-sam, a plastic surgeon from Sun Plastic Surgery. The thread lift literally means to lift the skin using a thread. We use a type of thread that melts in the procedure, which looks something similar to a fishing line, and lift the skin tissue with it. You can get a thread lift on every part of your face. The important thing is that you need a part to hang the thread, which is called anchoring. You need this part to hang the thread in terms of cosmetic procedures. Mostly, we fix it from the upper side of the hairline or the back of the ears. Using that as the anchor, we then do lifting. The time depends, really, on how many threads you put on your face. Basically, on one side, we put 6 or 12 threads. 12 on each side is the basics. We use at least 8 and at most 18 threads. In this case, operation time takes about 30 to 40 minutes, and we do the procedure through general anesthesia. The most ideal people to get a thread lift are the kind of people who don't have enough extra skin. For example, when those who have enough extra skin get a thread lift, it's pretty obvious that there's going to be some excess skin left behind. And in cases like those, the results won't last long, nor will they look natural. Instead, we recommend the so-called classic full facelift to those kinds of people. The thread lift is relatively more so for the younger generation. I don't know how to put this, but it's like we're trying to keep ourselves healthy when we're young by working out and maintaining our health. Before the skin starts to get saggy, one can get thread lifts to keep the skin elasticity a bit longer. Young people are good subjects for the thread lift. The biggest advantage of the thread lift is that there is nearly no recovery period at all. But keep in mind I said nearly, so there still is a recovery period. It's because when we put a thread in the face and put only the thread in the patient's face, they can feel pain or they'd start bleeding. So we inject a little bit of anesthetics into their full face. That will make you feel like your face is puffy. Actually, your face gets a little puffy for about 2 days after the procedure, so you might feel awkward because of that. But you won't get bruises that are serious enough to stop you from your daily lifestyle, and it won't swell your face. Also, depending on how you get the thread lift or what direction you get the procedure, you might have some difficulty in eating food. But it's not serious enough to disturb your daily life so much, so you don't really have to worry about that. The principle of the thread lift is that basically, all the threads that we're currently using are melting threads. People have suspicions on whether the melting threads have a continuous effect, and they will have doubts about that. So let me tell you what exactly the process is about. The approximate time it takes for the threads to be completely melted are 4 months. What happens after those 4 months is that the surroundings where the threads were will form collagen proteins by adhesion. By then, the lifting effect is maintained. To be completely honest, how long the lifting effect lasts, that's hard to measure. But based on the clinical data we've seen so far, it lasts from a year to a year and a half. So theoretically, we do not recommend a redo of the procedure before the threads melt, which takes about 4 months. If you want it quickly, then in 6 months, it should be okay. So generally, from 9 months to 12 months, we deem it possible to carry it out if requested by the patients. I think that the side effect of the thread lift is a faulty design, meaning that it's important to pull them in the direction we want. For example, what I've been hearing from the patients is that they think that the purpose of lifting is to have the effect of pulling back their faces, but I have different opinions on it. When we get older, just like what the patients are thinking about, Does it really sag in the opposite direction of the lifting? The answer is no. The exact direction where it sags follows the direction of the gravity downwards. When we go to a gym nowadays, there's handstand equipment around, and if you happen to look into yourself in the mirror while using that specific equipment, you'll see how much younger you'll look with gravity pulling the opposite way. Thus, I think the principal direction of the lifting should be the opposite of the direction of gravity. But when those are pulled to different directions, it might result in weird changes in your facial expressions. That could be the possible side effect of the thread lifting. I think it comes from the faulty design. Next up would be the technical problems. In principle, when pulling the skins, we have to lift them up through the very firm muscular system called the SMAS. The level where the SMAS is located in is neither deep nor shallow on the skins. When the threads are too deep, the lifting will be less effective, while if it is too close to the skin, lifting will be effective, but it can make you look like you were pinched in the face. Nevertheless, through the experience of the operator, these things can be eventually reduced, and I think it's important to consult with an expert who has a lot of experience in this kind of field. The biggest advantage of thread lifting is that it is safe. Safe meaning you can repeatedly get it done on yourself. It's like when we had Botox for the first time. There were many people who gave up after hearing that the procedure would need to be done after 6 months. So it's like, do I have to get this every 6 months for the rest of my life? No, you don't have to. It's the same for the thread lift. If I start this now, the effect goes for 1.5 years and needs to be redone every 2.5 years. No, it doesn't have to be that way. If you're satisfied with the surgery, you can get the effect. It's not like you have to keep doing it once you start, nor will your skin get worse by not doing it again. You really don't have to worry about things like that. In that way, the thread lift is a very approachable procedure. It's safe, and the recovery period is quick. If you haven't tried it, I would recommend trying it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
See you soon.